welcome to another Women's Spirit Festival interview. We both have elephants over here. I am joined by a really special guest in the spirit of the elephant as well, because we both happen to have them on our desk. Cathy, I'm so thrilled to be here with you. Thank you for being part of Women's Spirit Festival.
Oh, it's just such a joy to be here. I
Mm.
feel so at home. It's wonderful.
It's true. Like women feel at home in Women's Spirit Festival, whether there are speakers and our wonderful attendees. So everybody, if you're watching, whether you're live or in the replay, just say hello in the chat right now so we can feel you and we can come and chat with you. And I want to introduce this incredible woman who you see before you, everyone, Cathy Garner, who I've been getting to know just a little bit recently, and she beams presence and love. And I'm just very, very excited, Cathy, to get to know you better. And everyone, if you don't know her yet, Cathy Garner is a visioning coach, a TEDx speaker, and a relationship artist. And the relationship part has a TM there. So she's going to teach you all about her relationship stuff today. Cathy coaches conscious women to fall in love with their wild vision for life. I love that personally. Like, wild vision for life. Let's say yes to it so that they can get unstuck, stop drifting, and live purposefully, following their joy compass. This is speaking to my heart. And she also uses the science of soul, of the 12 simple, powerful relationship practices to love expansively. This is your relationship. Cathy, do you want to give us a little background on what this relationship is? Can we just jump right into that?
We can, absolutely. Well, I don't know whether to start with a story. I think I will. Just the way that this came to me was really through people often ask me, why are you a relationship coach? And I and I admit that it was through desperation. I think right from a very early age, and maybe others resonate with this, that desire to be loved and that fear of never being loved was very present. And so I set out into the world with these fairy tale ideas, as we often do. Um, and of course, the fairy tale is a myth. We think that falling in love, if we're lucky, is what's going to see us through. But what happens, of course, is over time, like bananas, I use this metaphor because I think it's quite useful. If we don't do anything, love is like a banana. What happens if I just leave this in a lovely warm room?
It's just gonna rot, get all brown and spotty, and not be good anymore.
Exactly. So that's why I'm the relationship artist, because love is a creative act. And if we don't create love, if we just are passive, then what happens to the bananas is what happens in our hearts. The love just kind of seems to disintegrate. So love is a creative, daily creative act where we're injecting kind of love and energy into our relationships.
I
And
have full
so
body goosebumps right now. Just hearing you say love is a creative act. Can somebody write that in the chat right now? Just love is a creative act. Keep going because this is so beautiful.
So I set out, launched myself into a long term relationship at the tender age of 21, my first marriage. By 27, this relationship, despite all its qualities, was not working. And that wasn't for lack of trying. And what I realize and realize now, I was working so hard on that relationship, but I was working in all the wrong ways. So I was putting energy into trying to fix all the problems in that relationship. When what I should have been doing is turning around and finding a different way. Because what happens, of course, and this is so painful for people, is when love goes wrong, everything else in our life disintegrates and decays a little bit like the bananas. And
So
we come into this life, don't we, with this amazing sense of purpose. We have this spark of joy and creativity as children. And when we follow that, we find ourselves living really purposeful lives. But then the frosts come in and we find ourselves in the icebergs. We find ourselves being hurt and bruised, and something clams up in us. And that that lack of love, or that inability to connect with love, actually stops us from living our purpose fully. And so I set out, the relationship ended. I set out with this kind of desire to figure out how do you actually make love work? And I read decades of brilliant research because by this point I'd had relationship after relationship in the aftermath and I was no longer trusting my heart.
I
I
wonder
could
how
not
many
get
women
this thing
watching,
right.
right? So many women watching can relate. Like, if you couldn't get it
Mm,
right, just put relate in the comments down below if you're like relationship after relationship. And as women, we really try to fix it. Like, we're trying to go in there and fix it. So then what
absolutely.
happened?
Well, so I remember telling a friend of mine the latest relationship drama in my life at an annual event I went to. And year after year, everybody was coupling up, and I ended up being the only single girl at the party. And he said to me, he said, Kath, there's only one common denominator in all your relationship disasters.
Always going to tell you the hard thing, right? Isn't he?
So he told me, and it was me, and I knew it, but that was a wake up call for me. So
Yes.
I set out to really figure out how to make this thing work, and the science actually led me to drop down from my head to my
Mm.
heart and to discover that real love is something that we can't think our way into. It's not even something we can feel our way into entirely. It's something we create because feelings, we're coming back to the ship in a minute, feelings are like the wind in the sails of our relationships. They come,
Mm.
they go. Sometimes it's a great storm. And what do you do when there's a storm and you're sailing a ship? You don't let it all hang out. You don't, yeah, exactly. You hunker down. So, maybe that resonates for people too. This experience of the sails actually tearing if we allow all of our emotions to hang out in the eye of a stormy relationship moment. And so I came to realize that great love, and this is based on decades of longitudinal studies, the Gottmans, Sue Johnson, all of the greats,
Yes.
and many of the unheard ofs. They're all pointing to the same thing, which is that we need three things in a relationship to make them work. Now, this is actually a really bad relationship. What's missing on my little ship?
I don't know, a little anchor.
Yeah, well, yeah, we could do with an anchor, but there's no crow's nest.
Oh, see, I don't know that much about the ships.
Okay, so there's no navigation system. There's actually no wheel, I realize, on this ship.
Right. And there's no,
No
what's the
wheel,
thing that hangs down into the water that gives it like
the
still,
rudder,
yeah, a
yeah,
rudder and then like there's a long thing. So it's missing pieces.
it's missing the third part of a great relationship. And I think most of our relationships are missing this one piece. This one piece is our ability to have a vision for our relationships, to get
Ah,
a sense of purpose for our relationships. We focus on the emotions. We're all about the sales.
yeah,
We're
and we
all about
just
the
want to feel
passion.
good. We don't want to feel the storms. We just want to feel good. And you're saying we don't have vision.
Yeah,
That's like stopping me in my tracks right now. And it relates to when I introduced you, you're a visioning coach. Okay, tell me
exactly.
more about
Because the
this.
two things are so closely connected and interwoven. If we don't have great relationships, then our vision is kind of gets dragged down.
Yeah,
If we don't have vision, then our relationships are going nowhere.
it's true.
So, what do we need for a great relationship? Well, we're going to ride out the stormy seas of life. We need a strong hull. That represents the friendship. And so, quite often we do think about our friendship, and it's the cliche, what do you need for a lasting love life? You need a good friendship. So, there, I actually use illustrations. So, this is the other reason I'm the relationship artist because I draw stuff. So,
Oh, I
all the
love it.
time when I'm teaching, I'm drawing illustrations, and every little bit of the ship represents one of 12 proven relationship practices that I have never seen a couple master all of these and their relationship not work brilliantly.
I need
So
these.
we all need these. Yes, we all need these.
Yes.
So there's three parts to the ship. You need your sound hull of friendship, you need your sails, and that's about managing emotion.
Mm.
We can't control the emotion. Emotions come, emotions go. We can create the best situation for great emotions. We can navigate ourselves into fairer, into kind of warmer waters, greater climates. But we can't control the emotion. What we can do is climb up the rigging into the crow's nest, look out, and catch a glimpse of our happily ever island.
Oh,
And that may be one island that we share together. It may actually be a whole archipelago of places that you and your partner want to go. And you can navigate towards those islands and away from the icebergs. Because, of course, even the strongest relationships will founder when they hit an iceberg. So I teach the relationship icebergs. I'm going to talk a little bit about this in my second talk, but yeah, you'll see the whole thing coming together.
right.
So
That's a good reminder for everyone. If you're leaning in as much as I am right now, everyone, and you're like, what is, tell me more. This is so brilliant. Kathy has three beautiful talks that are happening as part of Women's Spirit Festivals. All you need to do is go to the little search, it's like a magnifying glass. Go there, type her name in, Cathy Garner, and all her talks will come up so that you can actually dive in deep. Okay, let's keep going on this because this is so brilliant.
where should we go next?
Okay, so you experienced your own relationship troubles. This is what got you here. You extensively studied this, like the science of relationships, developed your own trademarked system on the
Yeah.
relationships. I'm busy here writing notes because I'm like, this is so brilliant. What is the work that you do with people? How do you actually guide them to find this?
Well, I'm glad you asked because I've got my little treasure chest.
Oh, good.
When I'm working with a couple, we go through each of the 12 practices,
Yeah.
and it's quite fun. Often, in when it comes to relationship work, um, maybe one partner is more keen than the other. Yeah. But what I found is that men really love the relationship method
Ah,
because it's super simple. It's you need your sound hull of friendship, you need sales to manage emotions, and you need a navigation system.
right. And
And
they can
within
relate
that,
because it's like boat and adventure. Because oftentimes women are pushing their husbands towards or their partners towards like, okay, we need to get help or we need to learn this thing, and he's resistant. So this actually like gives him a system that he can enjoy and open up to.
yeah, and my husband actually calls it relationship by numbers
Oh,
because it's that
yeah.
simple, which is kind of cute. And the other thing which is great about it is that you are not bearing your soul. I never ask a couple to share their deepest, darkest moments with me because when therapists do that, it can be very relieving and it can be very cathartic and wonderful. But what can sometimes happen is that the therapist makes the connection with the client or the one partner. And what we really want to be doing when we're working with couples is building their relationship together. So
Oh,
they always have the option of going screen off, sound off. Whenever we're working through an exercise, what I teach are the 12 practices. So they get a little treasure chest. If we're working privately, everybody gets a little treasure chest.
I
And
think I have a
inside,
little chest just like that.
do you? Mm. And inside we've got, what is your happily ever island? Where is your happily ever island? And we'll work through exercises that they can complete with the island. We'll have a passport. How do you get into your partner's world? Are you being allowed in? Are you welcoming each other into each other's world?
Yeah.
This is really, we fill out the passport so people know and they can go away with something tangible that they can refer to. Of course, we have the joy compass, which is really fun.
Mm.
And we have our appreciation journal. I shouldn't really be showing you. I never show clients this
I'm
before
like
we
literally
work with them.
peeking over the top of my screen to try to see in that box.
There's
It's
all
so
sorts of
good.
goodies. There's the salt and pepper pots. Are you peppering your relationship with positivity, or are you, feeding it with criticism and defensiveness and
Mhm.
contempt and emotional disengagement? So, what are you bringing? Are you using the magnifying glass to look at all your partner's mistakes? Or are you actually saying, okay, I'm going to stand in this place of presence and not judge? Am I willing to look in the mirror instead? Can you look in
Yes.
the mirror and just see what this is telling you? because we don't even need to judge ourselves when we're struggling in our relationship.
Yeah.
We need to just recognize who we are. And this is where we go up to the purpose. You know, we are individuated sparks of spirit. We are busy with our human experience. And if we're willing to go up and just look down at ourselves and see the little flapping partners having a moment, then it can shift everything. And also, if we're willing to look and say, okay, we've got, maybe there's a plank missing, maybe we're not doing the appreciation bit in the friendship.
Yeah.
Let's put some more work into that because I appreciate you, and maybe I've just forgotten to say it recently. And
Yeah.
so we can work on all these levels, which take the sting out of the very personal and very stuck places that we find ourselves quite often when we're in those relationship conflicts, or when we're drifting,
Yeah.
or when things have just become kind of low energy. So we
Mhm.
need to climb the rigging, we need to increase our energy, we need to go into those fair weather, kind of into the fair winds.
We truly do. This is such a beautiful and brilliant system that you've developed because nobody really we don't learn it in school. Nobody teaches us how to do relationships. Well, maybe except our parents or guardians. That wasn't always the best example. And then we think we're supposed to be able to navigate a relationship and we don't have the tools. So to me, it seems like you've put the tools together. What if there are women that are watching who are like in their 60s and they've been married for 40 years? Can they still use these tools? What if
Yeah,
there are
absolutely.
people who are like not in a relationship but want to be? What's your experience? Like, can people at any stage use these tools?
Anybody at any stage can use them. If both partners are using them, then there's pretty much a guarantee that they will work. I mean, that's a quite a strong thing to say, but I haven't yet had a partnership leave working with me and not being closer together.
Beautiful.
So as long as people are willing to go through all 12 steps, all 12 practices, they will get closer together. So there's that level of commitment at the outset. But if
Yeah.
people are willing to do that, then they will get closer.
Oh,
If they're looking for love, I have another program which is a 6 module program, which begins, and it's so much fun, it begins with falling in love with you.
hmm. Beautiful. So then people, if the people are doing that, then they wouldn't end up like you were at that party, the person who's like, wait a minute, I'm the common denominator. I can work on myself first. Oh, that's super beautiful. Okay, let's get personal. I've been in a relationship with my amazing hubby for 17 years, and we've gone through some challenges for sure, like any relationship that lasts a while has. And I've noticed in the last year we've gotten closer. And I imagine like some of the things that you like in the last year we've gotten closer than we ever have been. And it's a choice. Like when you said, relationships are a creative act. And I imagine we're doing some of the things that you're doing, but I feel like we're in a great place. Can we still improve?
Well, yes. I mean, what's interesting about the research is it draws on people like you who are in great relationships. So, it's through observation. This is what I do when I meet people and they say they're in a great relationship and they say, "Oh no, it's fate. It just happens."
Oh no,
And
it's
so
not fate. No, no,
yeah,
we
there I
work.
am with my checklist and I'm like, yeah, and when they reach out to you, do you respond? "Oh yeah, you do." And it's really positive and it's really nice. And are you sharing dreams together? "Oh yeah, you are." So I can
It's
tick
very
it off on my
intentional.
list.
Yeah.
Even if they don't know that that's what they're
Oh,
doing. This is the brilliance of the research because my parents were a fantastic couple. They made love look effortless.
aw.
And so when I came to getting married at 21, I kind of had the expectation that I'd
Oh,
be able to do it too.
I'm gonna do it just as good as them. That's an
Yeah,
opposite version of what many of the rest of us have experienced with like
yeah,
not so great examples. Oh,
yeah,
that's
exactly.
beautiful. So the expectations on yourself would have been really high.
Yeah.
And then,
And of course I was a different personality, and until you have the science, which is very analytical, but it helps you to see, oh, it's these 12 things.
yeah,
Because great couples do hundreds of things every day
true.
to build that bond. I call it the happy 100, and it's the
Oh,
tiny 100 connections that we make with each other
yeah.
that strengthen that bond. So my mum would get a cup of tea in the morning, and every morning without fail, and she'd smile at my dad, and they'd
Mm.
have a cuddle, and they'd talk about the day or the weather or whatever. And so you'd have these five little interactions, times that by 20 through the course of the day, and you've got 100 positive tiny moments of connection. So
Ah,
love isn't this big thing that lands on you. As you're saying, over the 17 years, little by little, you've been strengthening and building until you get to a point where you go, actually, it's better than it's ever been.
yeah.
And that's very much like the following of the joy compass. You know,
Yes.
those little glimmers, those
Yeah.
moments when you've always got the choice, a little bit more love or a little bit less love, a little bit of connection or a little bit of fear, a little bit of um, abandoning yourself or a little bit of fear and kind of reservation. So we've always got these choices, and we can build these beautiful relationships.
We really can. What about women who are not in a good place? Like they're really struggling, they're suffering, they're feeling like completely disconnected from their partner and they're losing hope. And I have a theory about this, and I want to get your take on it.
Oh,
I've
tell
just
me, tell
noticed
me.
my
Yeah.
a lot of women in midlife will it goes sideways and they're suddenly leaving their relationships and they're not wanting to work on them anymore. And I'm over here going, I'm 50 now. And I'm like, stay. There's like, we can work on this. Like when I see this happening, and I just want all my women friends to know, like it is possible to not go down that route of so many couples break up in midlife. What is that about? This is a two-part question. What's your theory on that? I think I might have a theory that it's to do with menopause and perimenopause. And then if it's really bad, like can it be fixed? Can it be healed?
Yeah. So I say yes to the second question, and I'll get back to it in a minute. Why do they separate, and why does it look sudden when it's really been brewing for such a long time?
Right.
It People talk about the 7 year itch. I don't know if that's in the States as well, but in Britain it's the 7 year itch, and
Yeah.
people leave. But of course, that started actually probably on month one, two, or three of the marriage. What the Gottmans did when they were doing the initial research, what John Gottman did, was look at couples 3 months after the wedding day. 6 years later, he was able to
Predict.
look back and see from the original conversations a pattern. What were these people doing at this point that meant that 6 years later they were either together and closer or drifting apart?
Wow.
And the thing, the strongest predictor was their positive response
To one
when
another.
to one another when you reached out. 86% positivity towards your partner is going to give you a much better chance of staying together. One in three, so 33% was the kind of the predictor of divorce 6 years later. So this is the very first layer on the plank of the sound hole of friendship. We start at this top plank, which is respond positively. So the whole model actually spells the word relationship. So even that is really helpful because you can remember it
The
and you can
12
figure out
pieces spell relationship.
12,
Kathy,
12.
you are brilliant. And on top of being just incredible, you're also really brilliant developing that. This is
It's
really cool.
really
And so there's
helpful.
hope, like for people who have are in a sticky spot ever in their relationships. Like we
Yeah.
can learn and we can build. Can you speak about that?
Yeah, so there's two things. One is the vision. So the other thing that I do is I create vision portraits. Now these are faces that tell a story. This is well, I'll tell you the story of this particular one. I was in a really tricky place in my relationship. I had already written, I'd written the guidebook, I'd written the workbook. I was working with couples who were about to get married. I was seeing them all and and I was stuck. And I was so angry. I don't even remember why.
Yeah.
I've tried to think back. What was I angry? I don't know. But I was in a really cold and hard place. And I just started doing these, this is about a decade ago, I just started doing these portraits. And So I didn't know what to do. So I went to my studio and I just started to draw. And what I drew is, well, I wrote. I wrote into the lines of my hair and into the shadows of my face the gratitude I wanted to feel
Those are
and the
words. Hold
love.
that closer. Oh, this is beautiful. Can you all see it? They're words that are
So,
actually making up.
yeah.
Oh, it's
So,
beautiful.
so this is like a little like a vision board in your face. What you're doing here is you're seeing your future self looking back at you and reminding you who you are. And so I sobbed my way through this portrait and I came out the other side with this smiling woman looking back at me. Obviously, I was working from a photograph. Not, it would have been a horrible mess if I'd actually been working from a mirror. And when I sat down on the sofa with my husband, I was suddenly able to be soft and vulnerable and just pour out my heart. And of course, I
Hmm.
did it skillfully using the skills and the practices. But what I hadn't been able to do, because I'd hardened my heart, this portrait, being able to see myself differently, softened me. And I just shared how lonely and how upset I had been. And he just put his arm around me. And I knew in that moment that he was fully there for me. And and so these are quite powerful. And I, at the time, I had no idea. But then I mentioned it to a woman who was looking for love. So we'd been working on her relationship skills for about 6 months. She created her vision board and talked me through it. And I drew her words into her face. She would give me slightly dirty looks when I suggested that maybe it was time for her to start meeting some men because she had been single for 6 years. She desperately wanted to be in a relationship. But you know, the idea of actually putting herself out there was kind of scary. And I get that, but she had to do it. Anyway, 3 days after she received her portrait, she started dating and she carried on dating until she met a man and fell in love and he fell in love with her.
Oh,
And so it was it was almost magical. So I thought this is kind of strange. And I told that story to a couple that I'd worked with whose portrait I had drawn. They came to me when they felt that their relationship was drifting. And he talked about wanting to be in leadership. And she was looking across at him on the sofa going, oh, I've never heard you say that.
yeah.
She talked about her vision for becoming a real homemaker. Now, you know, that's very not fashionable around
No.
here. You know, she'd very much been feeling, oh, I ought to put more effort into my career. But she really just loved being at home. She loved creating home. Anyway, they understood each other and they noticed that their their relationship actually dovetailed beautifully
Oh,
within 3 months. So when I told them the story about the single woman I'd been working with, they said, "Oh, it's the same for us." Within 3 months of their portrait, he was headhunted for a leadership position, and he had 3 promotions that year. So the
and then
whole thing
she
is
could
crazy.
make the home and just like rest into that.
Well, it
It's
wasn't even that. Just it's unfolded over time, and we saw them just about a year ago. And she said, you know, things in that portrait are still coming to pass.
Mhm.
She's now a foster mum,
Oh,
and she absolutely loves it. So they're extraordinary, and I haven't really talked about where the whole thing came from. Um, but I also need to answer your question because I'm very good at going off on tangents.
good.
You
Me
said,
too.
what about people who are stuck? It's the icebergs. So these are the four things that we get stuck on.
I'm gonna put you on big screen while you share about the icebergs, and I'll fix this little light beam of sun that's coming in on me.
Oh,
So tell us more
beautiful.
about the icebergs.
Okay, so we get stuck if we're able to stay out of criticism, defensiveness, contempt and emotional disengagement, then our relationships have got a really good chance of staying afloat. um, but of course, you know, criticism, pointing the finger, saying you're the problem, not we've got a problem, that's okay, we can work with that, but you're the problem. Defensiveness, I'm not the problem, you're just as bad. Contempt, eye roll, structure the mouth. I married a problem. An emotional disengagement. If I just keep quiet, it's all going to go away. It will pass. And those four things, if you can argue, you can have a passionate, stormy relationship if you can avoid these. Because if you're arguing or challenged about the stuff, then you can work with that. There's a whole lot in that about energy levels, but what we notice when we look at these as icebergs is underneath the waterline, criticism has actually got a really positive intent. What is criticism? It's an unskillful cry for connection.
Oh,
You never take the bins out. What are you really saying? You're saying, are you there for me? Are you going to help me? Are you there to support me? And so defensiveness, it's a request for peace or a request for respect, contempt. We will automatically find ourselves feeling contempt for someone if our needs are not being met. And so we can work on ourselves, we can meet our own needs and start to level the playing field. And then we can go back in an energy of appreciation.
that's
And then emotional
beautiful.
disengagement. Again, it's a physiological necessity that when we're flooded, we need to escape. And so it's kind of biological. We can't do much about it except say, I just need to step away for a moment, but I am here for you and I
And we
will
don't
come
have to
back.
make up stories about it. We can know the science behind it. Okay, there's a
Yeah,
reason for what's happening. It's not because of anything. It's not because they're wrong or because there's something wrong. It's just, oh, okay, there's biology is happening. I
yeah.
need this. Everyone, can you hear the wisdom that Cathy is bringing? Just put wisdom in the comments down below right now and put something that you're gaining from hearing her speak. Now, she's got three beautiful talks that are happening as part of Women's Spirit Festival. Can you briefly tell everybody what to expect from checking out your three talks?
Well, the first one is Follow Your Joy Compass. So that's really about all the fun little steps between here and your vision. How do you get there? How do you sustain the path? And this is really for people who have found life crowding in and or they found themselves stuck or drifting.
Yeah.
So this is ideal if you really want to feel that aliveness bubbling up again. If you want to just bring that into every day, and that doesn't mean I'll tell you the stories when we meet again about what I ended up doing, but it doesn't necessarily mean vast changes in your life.
Yeah.
It may just mean the little things, how you go about doing what you do every day, and walking that path with real joy. And then the second talk is relationships as your greatest spiritual teacher. Because, of course, you could be doing all this right
Mhm.
and it could still be really, really challenging. So
Yeah.
then what do?
Our
You
greatest
welcome
spiritual
it.
teacher.
You welcome it joyfully and you say, okay, so somewhere along the line, I signed up for this. Now,
Yeah.
it may be that I need to learn self respect, boundaries. I might need to step away. 7 out of 10 relationships can be saved,
Mm.
but that does mean 3 out of 10,
Yeah.
parting
Yeah.
may be necessary.
Oh, but I love that you said that because sometimes my husband and I will trigger each other, but we're aware enough to walk through it and be like, "Oh, the trigger was revealing something in me that I
Exactly.
actually need to like love or heal or anything." So it's like, yeah. You just
Exactly.
confirmed for me that we're doing it right, Kathy.
Oh, yes,
Yes. Okay, what's
absolutely.
the
And
third
and the
talk?
triggers and the arguments are wonderful
Yeah.
because if you can take conflict and use it to make deeper connection,
Yeah.
that's really what it's there for.
And knowing it's about
Might,
my own growth, like you said, it's a spirit,
yeah,
it's like
exactly.
spiritual growth. It's like if I
Yeah,
have a trigger and then it's showing me this wounded part of me as a child or this need that I have. You're
exactly.
making me feel so good about the whole, like about our future. This is really cool. Okay, what's your third talk?
And the third talk is your wildest vision for life and love.
Mm.
So this is really getting into the relationship kind of vision.
This is
And
beautiful. Everyone, you're definitely going to want to follow all of these three and come back and watch this again because Kathy delivered so much wisdom just in the midst of this chat that we've had. Remember, how
fun.
you find her is just go to that little magnifying glass, which she has somewhere. Go to the magnifying glass at the top of this group and search Cathy Garner, and you will find her and you'll be able to also connect with her. So you'll be able to watch her talks, but you can also direct message her. Like ask her
Yeah.
questions, be in the chat in all of her talks, direct message her, send her a friend request, follow her. That's what's so sweet about this community is that the audience and the speakers, all of you can be in touch. Do you all love that? Just put love in the comments. And do you have a gift that you want to give everybody right now as well?
Yes, and it's really fun and very valuable. So what I'm doing is uh, a video course. So it's a video course that I use with clients. So it's normally paid only, but it's a disappearing video course.
Cool.
So you DM me, I'll connect you to the program. It's an online program. It's us sitting down having a fireside chat. You get to see me sitting in my old little Tudor cottage where I grew up, and I'll ask you questions, and you can do some exercises.
And can we do
And
that by ourselves or with our
yes,
partner?
oh, you can do it by yourself. You can do it with your partners. You can do it
Oh,
with your whole family if you
okay,
like.
I want it.
And then you have to get through the whole program in a month if you want to keep it.
Oh, very cool. That's so
Yeah.
smart. So how do we get it? What do we put in the chat right now in
So
order to
just put vision
vision?
or gift and just
I
let me
like
know that
that.
you want it. And
Put
just DM
vision
me.
in the chat. I like that. Can somebody write vision in the chat for me right now so I can get the course too? Because I'm not in the chat. So vision is the word. Put it in the chat. Cathy will connect with you and get you this course, which is like the first steps, I imagine, to this path of an incredible relationship filled with vision. What you said also, like putting the energy into your own life, like wind back in your own sails. I know that sometimes in relationships, there can be times that feel dry, times when you're like beached and you're like, let me get back out in the water. So I
Yeah.
imagine that all the work that you're doing is really helping people get back into the vision and the joy, just like you say. I'm excited for the work that you do. I'm so thrilled I got to meet you, but personally, everybody, like I said, I've been in a relationship, wonderful relationship, lots of ups and downs over the last 17 years. And I have even more renewed hope just having this conversation with you. So I'm really
Oh,
grateful.
that's beautiful. That's so
Mhm.
beautiful. It is. That's my mission is to see a whole generation learn to love well and live with purpose.
Mm.
If this information could get into everybody's hands
It
and
should be
every
part of school
child,
curriculum.
absolutely.
Yeah, and
You know,
before
you can
anybody's
imagine.
allowed to get a marriage license, before anybody's allowed to move in together.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's get into this into more hands. Put vision in the comments, everybody, right now, and Cathy can connect with you. And this isn't it. This is just us chatting. This is an interview, but her talks are the main event in Women's Spirit Festival. So make sure go check those out. And as we're leaving, I love what you just said. Like, just we can really make a difference here. But what do you want to leave everybody off with? Maybe a reminder for their hearts.
I think it's the remembering the three-pointed triangle. You know, have a strong friendship, have passion, and manage your emotions, but always remember this purpose piece. Remember to catch a vision for your relationship. And as you look out and you see that happily ever island, navigate, do every little thing you can to go towards that and away from the icebergs so that you fall in love not just with each other, but with your life, and with this powerful vision because you're here for a purpose. And each one of us has a unique purpose. And when we don't express it, when we don't live it, it's no one else is going to do that for us. It's uniquely ours. And yeah, I just want to see relationships lifting all of us up like the wind beneath our wings so that we can really live our purpose on this planet.
Oh, thank you so much, Cathy. You've made me feel like having a vision for my relationship and my relationship is the foundation of me living my purpose. Like it just made that connection as you're speaking. And I'm like, I'm kind of in awe right now. Anybody else? So the vision, so important. I'm going to throw some hearts across the screen here because this is magic what you've just shared, truly. So everyone write vision in the chat to connect with Cathy. And Cathy, thank you again so much for sharing your heart, for being part of Women's Spirit Festival, for being one of our main sponsors. We really appreciate you.
Well, I really appreciate you too, and all your generosity and what you've created here. So much love and belonging. It's just beautiful.
You're so welcome. And everyone, thank all of you for being the best part of Women's Spirit Festival. And I'll see you all in the next interview. Bye, everyone.
Can't wait to meet you. Bye.